Good evening, everyone. This is Deidre with Are You a CPS Victim Like Me? I have my lovely co host with me tonight, Tiffany Wise. Should have had Darren. You never know. Maybe he'll pop in. And I should have had a guest that was on one of our other platforms under Mr. Davis's uh, platform here that was a guest. And I was just talking to her up until a couple minutes ago. So if she decides to still join in or if she can hear this, we will be anxiously awaiting your arrival. On a side note, I also had texted Mr. Davis and wanted him to come on for this particular guest because her case is, approaching a 12-month hearing this next Monday and really could have used his guidance and advice. So if that decides to go forward, we'll go with that. But in the meantime, I just want to give a little intro again. I am a parent that went through a CPS case myself and is still kind of in the process of fighting to get two of my three boys back home, and maybe a miracle with my youngest who have been adopted. Tiffany is also a parent slash advocate for this horrible corruption of CPS, and she's been doing it for quite a many years. So she has a lot more experience than I have to give. And so I'm so lucky and fortunate to have her tag along with me on my shows to help any parents out there that might be coming across this and seeing it for the first time or are going through a case themselves. Again, I was a parent that went through it, and I continue to do this show under an attorney here in Southern California, Mr. Vincent W. Davis. And I truly believe in the work that he does and the expertise that he also has in practicing over 35 years in this field. So if anybody wants to ever come on my show in the future, I do these shows every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And you can come on and share your story and get the word out there, because the more of us that speak about it, hopefully one day this might all come to an end and we won't have to be dealing with this nightmare, because ripping families apart and stealing your children, I think, is one of the, worst things that could ever possibly happen to anybody. So with having said that, since we don't have our original guest, I think me and Tiffany can wing it and go with something. Other than that, Tiffany, I kind of wanted to maybe speak about our guest that we had last week. I don't know, did you get a chance to read any of the comments that were posted?
No, I didn't. Can you read them?
Well, I'm on my phone doing the show, so I don't think I can access it while I'm doing it. I probably should have had it up on another device, but it's the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because, again, for everybody out there watching, we're not attorneys, but we are parents that have gone through this, and so I feel like I do, as well as Tiffany, have a lot of experience when it comes to maybe whether or not you want to validate a case, if that makes sense. Like if you want to really believe that they are a parent that, shouldn't really have gotten their kids taken and is just going through what all the other parents are going through with corruption. But then again, you sometimes unfortunately get those few cases that maybe you feel like at the end of the day, when you see everything as a whole, that maybe it might be a situation where the kids should have been removed. Now, I'm not speaking on this person because I know the truth, but for anybody else out there that watched our show from last week, they're more than welcome to go on and watch it again. And right there, you'll see for yourself all the comments that were posted. The main thing that caught my attention was we just did the show a week ago, and we are already up to, I believe, almost 300 views. I think it was 292 this morning. Now, that, in knowing how our views go, is an extreme amount, number one. Number two, if you read all the comments, one being her sister, two being her cousin, it kind of brings light to her story in a way where, again, I don't know the truth. So if the guest is watching, there's nothing against you personally, but sometimes it makes you wonder, what really is the truthness of the story or the validity. But since anybody can go out there and read the comments, I feel like I could speak about it because it's public knowledge. But they both go on to give a very detailed background scenario story to this person, and they both are very similar in fashion. And the reason why the sister and cousin felt like they needed to put the comment up there is because, again, they respected us for doing the show. They said that they respect our reason for doing the show, but they also did not like the fact that they felt that this guest was maybe wasting our time and the resources that we could be helping another parent. Does that make sense? And so the sister and cousin went on to say, a lot of things that kind of were mentioned by the guest, as far as she mentioned that she never got any contact from CPS or never had any investigations and stuff, which I guess was all false. And they gave background to that. She said she didn't know why her kids were taken, when in fact, the sister and the cousin went on to say that it was because she was constantly in and out of hotels. She was with all different men that were found to have been molesting her twin daughters. and also doing drugs with the man. Also, the kids always witnessing her mother being under the influence of drugs. Also, even to the point where and this was all coming from kids, reported to teachers, reported to other parents. So, I mean, again, it's one of those situations where, yes, there might be times when kids do need to be removed because it is truly neglect or abuse or whatnot. But also, you do want to feel for the parents in situations that mostly are at stake where, it's not true and it's all false. But when you have two different people that are one sister and one cousin, both family members, they even go on to say that they tried many of times to get this person help, and that all the way down to the point where they tried to offer her housing as long as she left this man and went to rehab, and that they would help her with housing and help her with a job, but she refused because she didn't want to abandon her cat. So sometimes you kind of look at the bigger picture, and there was many other facts that they listed there for anybody else that really wanted to read it. And again, they said that they had always cared for her, and they still care for her, and they love her. They just really want to see her get the help that she needs, because apparently she's not looking at it maybe from a clear conscience. And again, the only reason why they felt like they said they needed to put these comments up was because they didn't want the lies to be portrayed at the end of the day and see that maybe she was getting help when really it wasn't validated. I don't know. But again, it just leads me to those situations where, yes, there are reasons where kids need to be removed because of those situations. But then again, I always look at the flip side. We see where these kids go. Now, is it necessarily guaranteed that they're going to go to a better situation? Not necessarily. And I feel like it's more chances than none that they go to just as bad as a situation, or maybe sometimes even worse. But then again, it's kind of like, I wanted to raise that question to you, Tiffany. It's like, what should CPS do in the future? Like, if we were able to stop all the corruption and say, okay, well, we have now the grand master plan of what you should do when you remove children, like, where would you think that they should go then? They're not doing the work of background checking these foster homes, apparently. Or do you know what I mean? I don't know. What would your solution be to better the fact that kids aren't going into just another abusive home or place setting?
Well, first we need to, just like we got rid of orphanages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the nuns taking these children in to foster care, we need to shift from foster care to kinship or fictive kin placement, right? Because first of all, a child knows if a stranger is good or bad. Okay, let's just put it out there. Kids and animals are the smartest little creatures walking this planet.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would like to see the whole system flipped upside down, right? And if a child really has to be removed, because the United States Supreme Court says the only way a parent is unfit is three things: sexual abuse, proven physical abuse, or murder. That's it. Those are only three. Okay.
Wow.
So, but we have parents' rights being terminated because they didn't finish a quote unquote safety plan.
Mm-hmm.
We have parental rights being terminated because they won't leave their husband. We have parental rights being terminated because our children are being targeted by strangers who can't have kids, right?
That's exactly what happened in mine.
Right. The only way to get rid of foster care is for more people, like grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, third cousin, fifth cousin, it doesn't matter. Principals, fictive kin. That's what fictive kin is.
I think with that though, because again, I was an example of this, meaning, yes, my two older kids went to my mom, which I was grateful for in the beginning. But then the second that money came in every month and she got like a used to the money and almost addicted to the money, it ended up almost warping that whole family situation, because I felt like at the end of the day, I was fighting my mom more than I was fighting CPS, because I don't think she ever wants to give them back now because she's so dependent upon the money. And I feel like the money should be reversed for these social workers. The bonus incentive should be for if they reunify the kids with their parents, instead of to adopt out or, terminate. I don't understand that bonus. I don't understand it at all because, again, I see why it happens now because they get more money if they adopt out. So therefore, they'll give more money to the social worker. But it's just like, what's the word I'm trying to say? It's just reversing the whole point of what CPS is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be, and didn't Darren say once before that the Title IV funding is only supposed to be provided if reunification is like on the table? Meaning if they're
Yes.
trying to adopt right away, then technically they're not even supposed to be getting the funding.
Well, here's the thing. People don't understand this. Two things happen when you sign a safety plan. The first, I call them a plea deal. Okay, that's what I call them. Because you just admitted to something that you probably didn't even do. Okay, first off, let's just get that out there. And second off, the minute you sign that safety plan, you just agreed to let your children be adopted.
See, and nobody knows. How can we get around that as far as, because they do it in such a way where we all know where they coerce you. Like they say, if you don't sign this, we're taking your kids, meaning, which isn't really true. But because they're doing that, can't you almost immediately go back somehow and be like, that signature is null and void because, again, you were bringing it to me in a way where it wasn't valid? Like they give parents no choice in a way?
Well, that's where you take your happy behind out of the state courts and put your happy behind in a federal court under 42 USC. I think it's 251 and 252, right? Because one is conspiracy and one is coercion. And this is how the kinship program works. Okay. You actually, in order to get money, see, this is why I have a problem with this. I refuse to contract with the state. I am not a foster parent. I am their grandmother. Okay. I am not signing a paper and letting you walk in my house whenever you want because that will get you hurt. And no, I don't need the money that bad. See, that's how the kinship program works. How I want the kinship program to work, and I'm trying to get it done here in Virginia. I want it to where, now, first of all, everybody has to be very clear on what their state laws are. Here in Virginia, temporary custody means 6 months. Okay. After 6 months, it's no longer temporary. It becomes a permanent order, whether it's done in court or out of court. The only way to reverse that order after 6 months is to go to court. So everybody needs to look that up because there is a time frame even outside of the courts. Now, I don't get no money. Okay. And I just told you why. Because I'm not contracting with them. I am not a registered foster home. Absolutely not. I want that money taken away. Not so much taken away, but I want it to be, if I need the money, I can go ask for the money, right? Because at the end of the day, when people like me step up, okay, so I'm going to be 55 this year. Do you really think that I was planning on raising 2 more kids?
But I think I know what you're going to say. You're the type of person that steps up for the real reason, meaning because they're your grandkids, not because no dollar sign is behind it. At the end of the day, like you'd say, you're going to take care of your grandkids, whether there's money there or not, because they're your grandkids. So that's where you get the good and the bad, because if the money's there, all these bad grandparents want to come around, and be like, oh, okay, I'll take them. But then even my mom, funny you say that, my mom literally told a social worker that she didn't want to adopt my kids because she found out that she wouldn't get any more funding then. And she's about to retire and she can't afford to support these kids till they're 18 if she isn't going to get some kind of financial help. Meaning if they're truly if she's truly their grandmother, and if I died, God forbid, wouldn't she find a way to make it work out whether there's money or not, because they're her grandkids? But also funny, other part to that is, in the beginning of my case, when she was realizing that she was going to be having my kids and maybe for a long period of time, one time she sends the kids with them a paper for me to sign. And basically, it's a life insurance policy that she's taken out on me and wants me to sign because she's going to pay it every month. But if I ever die, it's $100,000 life insurance policy that my kids will get when they turn 18. I said, this kind of feels like you're taking a hit out on me, like in a way, like you're going to have me killed because now you know I'm worth $100,000. It's kind of sickening in a way. Like it really, truly is. Like, and she goes, well, I don't know what's going to happen to you with the lifestyle that you live. So, these kids need to be taken care of if something happens to you. And I'm thinking, this is just kind of sick to think. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, there's so many twisted turns to that.
Okay. So first of all, I just had this conversation with a friend. She's a friend of mine now, but 2.5 years ago, I helped get her granddaughter out of foster care within 48 hours. Okay.
Wow.
So anyway, we were having a conversation the other day. And she was like, she was going to do the same thing. And I said, for what? Those children are entitled to death benefits from Social Security until they're 18. Why would you take a life Why would you take a life insurance policy out on your child? I don't care if they're doing drugs or not. I'm not taking one out on my daughter. What?
I almost felt like she was putting a hit out on me. I'm like, now I feel like she's gonna have me killed because she knows that she'd get this money.
But here's the thing: as long as they are not adopted, and like if something, God forbid, let me knock on some wood, anything ever happens to my daughter, I don't want that to happen. But if it did, those two would be entitled to death benefits until they were, 18. I don't need no life insurance policy.
See, I don't even think my mom knows that.
For her. So they can't be adopted. But anyway, that's what I want. I want the money taken out. And what I
But wait, how did you get the kids to be in your placement if you didn't want to go with their plan? Were they not trying to remove them from your daughter in the first place? Or explain that.
First of all, the oldest one had a CPS case, right? Supposedly she was living in a car with my grandson. Well, the allegation was false because I had already taken him. She asked me to keep him until she got on her feet. Okay, that was 6 years ago, but we'll move on from that. Yeah, right. He's my grandson. Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
But I did tell her because, I would have to take him to the doctor and stuff. We needed some kind of custody agreement. So I called my lawyer. Well, let me go all the way back. When I first found out she was pregnant, my lawyer rolled up on me and was like, you do understand that you're going to be raising any children that she has. Okay. So that's really where it started. So she brought him to me and I said, you're going to have to sign this custody paper. Anyway, when CPS got involved, they were like, oh, we're coming to do a home visit. I said, oh, no, you're not coming to my house, but you can come to my business. So she came to my business while she was on her way to my business. I called my lawyer. I was like, hey, check this out. CPS is on their way. And I'm about to lose my mind. I got to watch.
Because again, if they were trying to call it on your daughter still, why would they be coming to you then? It would be on the daughter, right?
Well, this is what happened. This child done told so many lies about 3 different men who were the father. I don't even know. Okay. So they happened to call the boyfriend. I took the phone from him. So you don't need to worry about my grandson. I got it. She's like, well, I need to come do a home visit. I said, no, you don't, but you can come to my business. So she came to my business. My lawyer rolled up. My other friend rolled up. My husband was there. She was there. My daughter was there. And the boyfriend was there. And this is my exact words to her. As long as these children, I said, as long as any of my grandchildren have my blood running through their veins, you don't ever have to worry about protecting mine. So this woman was so petrified. My lawyer goes, so grandma's in Frederick County, mom's out of Clark County, and you're from Winchester. Why are you here? She said, well, I guess because we got a call. So here goes my lawyer. You get any more calls about the mother or the child, you call me, because I know for a fact that grandma's had this baby for 2 weeks. In fact, I'm working on her custody papers. So the lady
Cute.
goes, well, I'm just going to go back and close the case, but while I'm here, do you need anything? My lawyer said just like this: grandma needs a crib. She needs a car seat. Grandma needs everything. They gave me everything. Do you hear me? I mean, diapers, clothes, toys, beds. They gave me everything.
Wait, who gave you that? The social service office?
Huh?
Who gave you that? The social service office, like CPS or what?
They sure did.
What? So then they never tried to come at you the way that they originally tried to come at you. They just left you alone?
They left me alone for a year. Hold on.
Uh-oh. Wait, this is when the second child comes, right?
This is when my
Uh-oh.
other grandson, who is 8 months younger than the one I have.
So they're not from the same mom.
No, the
two that you have are not from.
No.
Oh, this is. Oh, okay.
Okay, so first of all, I got 10 little critters. Okay, I call them
Oh,
little
wow.
critters.
Okay.
I got 10 grandkids. So the one that I have, there's one that came after him, 8 months apart. My oldest daughter. Now, the night they were out here, that's who they were looking for. They did not know that I had the other one. So when my helicopter daughter decided that her child, without moving any furniture, ate some CBD gummies, she had to take him to the emergency room. I said, he's fine. She said, no, Mom, take him to the emergency room. I said, hey, check this out. Call the CDC or the poison control. I said, call these people.
Yeah.
So she calls me back and she's like, well, they said, if you believe that he ate them, go ahead, give us your information. We'll call ahead to the emergency room and tell them that you're coming. So I said, okay, come pick me up on your way to the hospital. So we get to the hospital. She's like, oh my God, Mom, are they going to call CPS on me? I said, are you really worried about CPS with me standing right here? Are you serious? She's like, okay. So I had a bottle of the CBD gummies. They didn't have Delta 8. They didn't have no weed in them. And I'm telling her all the way to the hospital. I mean, they're big. They're like this big. I said, this boy did not eat those gummies. I'm telling you, he didn't. I don't know, Mom. I'm taking him. I'm taking him. That's the kind of mom she is. God bless her. So we get there and we go in the back and they hook him up to all this stuff. And the doctor's like, well, what kind of gummies are? Oh, here they are. I brought the whole jar because I had a jar. Yeah. So he's looking at them and he's like, well, there's no THC in them. And I said, no. He said, well, if there was THC in it, it'd be a whole different story. And I'm like, well, of course it would be.
Oh, look, I think, not to interrupt you, but our guest looks like she's coming on. But go ahead, finish your story. Okay, one second, Gabriella. I'm so glad that you came, but Tiffany's going to finish her thought there real quick.
Yes, so I'm going to sum this up. When they showed up at my house, after I told her at the hospital we were not cooperating, okay? We were not consenting. They thought that they were going to find my daughter here because her address on her driver's license is still my address. But they got me. They were not happy. And the child wasn't even here. So and long story short, we won in court. Because of me, they retaliated against my daughter and said that she was found neglectful. And I said, absolutely not. So she calls me before she has an administrative hearing, was like, Mom, I should have just moved the refrigerator out because I found the bottle of gummies. I said, you need to listen to me, right? He didn't need none of them. So she goes to this administrative hearing with her lawyer that we hired 4 hours from here, and she won administratively.
So then it was done with?
It was done. Her finding of founded was reversed, and her name was taken off the federal and state registry as an abuser.
Wow.
I don't play with
Isn't
these
that
people.
Crazy though? Yeah, isn't that crazy though too? It's like By the way, Grace said that I don't know how to say her name, Gabriella, I think, her audio and video wasn't working. So if she comes on, she comes on. But isn't that funny though, how when parents are trying to be proactive and have the best interest of their child at hand is when usually this kind of stuff happens too. It's like, ooh, it's like they're like radar, like they get called in, like possible CBD given to child. It's like, hello, I don't know. Wait, Gabriella's answering Gabriella, she told me, okay, well, in the chat, come on if you can hear me, because we only have about 30 minutes left to the show. And I have Tiffany here that could really help you out.
Well, not only once I found out who called, because CPS is so stupid, they told us that Nurse Lexi, and I don't care, I put her name out there 3 years ago. I called the fraud department at the hospital. She was fired the next day.
Oh, wow. Really?
Oh,
because
yeah.
Again, there wasn't really they call those people mandated reporters, but only if there really is a valid reason. Like in your case, it wasn't even a valid reason because it was CBD and not anything like THC related, right?
Well, here's the thing. They fired her for 2 reasons. She went behind 2 doctors' backs and made a false report.
Okay, Gabriella, can you hear us?
Yes. Hi, Miss Tiffany, and hi, Miss Deirdre.
I don't know what happened to you 30 minutes ago.
My man got home. I had to cook and then I lost track of time, but I'm here now.
Okay, well, I kind of gave Tiffany, it's a good thing because I kind of gave Tiffany a little bit of a nutshell of your scenario and where you stand. But what I was about to tell Tiffany before, I'm like, well, wait a minute, it's 5:02 and she's not even here. Why am I still talking about her? But the part I left off, Tiffany, is real quick, if you don't mind, Gabriella, and then you can fill in where I might have left out. But so anyways, she then, moved to Oklahoma with her 3 kids to get away from now this mess. And then the husband decides to retaliate and do all these false allegations that were unfounded. And then the one that decided to come and take her kids was that recording that wife had of her basically yelling at the wife because of the situation at hand. But like she was telling us, she has a 12-month review coming up on Monday, but her court-appointed attorney does nothing for her, never contacts her, even blocked her at one point, like the typical. And she, again, has done her whole safety plan, everything, she said. So I'm trying to help her with what you want to recommend as far as what can she do between now and Monday to prevent whatever ends up happening on Monday, if you know what I mean.
Well, the first thing I would do is fire my attorney. You're fired. And then I would file I forgot the word. I would file a report with your local bar and your state bar for misrepresentation against the attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you need to let whatever happen on Monday, because at this point, there's really nothing you can do. What I need to know is, do you have everything that says your safety plan is complete? Do you have all your little BS certificates?
Yeah.
Okay.
I even got a letter from therapists. I mean, the whole 9. I have all of it.
Okay.
But they
tell her real quick, Tiffany, real quick, tell her, Gabriella, about how your mom and your grandma are tied into this, because I don't really know the specifics. Your mom, as far as her relationship.
My mother, when she came and got me and my girls from Florida, drove us to Oklahoma and dropped us off in her rental house. Okay. So, and it was a trap house. I had to make it, feel like a home. She hadn't lived in it for 7 months, and no car, no nothing. With these 3 babies, I just uprooted from Florida to this little shit town Antlers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, remember, you don't
even have no words. So I'm just like, whoa, culture shock. Well, my mom never asked me or never told me I had to pay rent. I was already automatically giving her what I could, and she was satisfied with that. Well, when they took my kids, they went behind my back to my caseworker and basically said, she's not incompetent, or she's incompetent. She can't make these decisions on her own. She's crazy. And basically made me sign a paper that would get my kids placed with my brother and my sister-in-law. Well, that didn't last so long because it wasn't working. And they were
They're
seeing
both
that there was
convicted felons, right?
Yeah, and they were two-time convicted felons, my brother and my sister-in-law. And my mom went 8-year fed.
How old were their convictions?
Current.
Oh, so go ahead.
She said, go ahead. And my mom did 8-year fed time in Texas for embezzlement. So let's rewind a little bit. My PI did some digging around and are doing like this big embezzlement case from DHS in Oklahoma. Well, and I was like, you know what? Follow the money. Follow the money. You know what I mean? I don't have to say any more than that. And my mom will be right there with her hand in the honey bowl. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
And she is having sexual relations with the ADA on my case.
Now explain what the ADA is. What you mean by that?
Assistant District Attorney.
Yeah, I already know what that is. Okay, so
Sometimes people confuse it. Sometimes people confuse it with Disability Act, I thought.
So you need to contact your attorney general because your attorney general.
Okay, hold on, pause. My grandmother, which is a kinship for my 3-year-old, okay, she has hired my cousin, which would be her niece, as an attorney to represent her in my reunification case, which is illegal, by the way. Okay, illegal.
Wait a minute.
I told you,
Okay.
Tiffany, I told you.
Okay, so your grandmother hired her niece.
Yes.
To represent her in your reunification?
Yeah.
What does your grandmother have to do with your reunification?
Because she wants her kid.
I mean, my other two kids had 18, 19 different placements, and not one time did they ever have an attorney in the courtroom because I didn't even know what they were. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know who they were with because they were being trafficked.
Yeah, well,
her one kid has been sexually abused, right? You said that too. Yeah.
My 4-year-old.
Okay, so really, grandma hired an attorney to adopt your child. That has nothing to do with reunification.
Yeah, she's mentioned that to the physicians. I have it in documents, and it's been on numerous occasions that she's done that. And I'm like, reunification, dum-dum.
And that child has special needs, though, too, right? That's why she only wanted that child of yours, not all three.
Autistic. Yes, ma'am.
And she raised you at a certain point of your life, and you know all of her ways and tactics. You said
I know
so.
her little coaching tactics. And I had mentioned the other day in my 1 hour a week Zoom call with them, D Billions, hi baby, did you watch D Billions anymore? And she said, be patient. And I'm like, what? I know what that is. My Nana used to make us hold our hands out like this, and she would swat them with a wooden spoon constantly. And she would make us stand there with our hand out like that and say, be patient. So to me, to see that in my own kid is devastating.
Oh, gosh.
But
you don't get to see your kids in person? You don't get to see them in person?
Because I'm in Florida and they're in Oklahoma. I get 4 hours a month.
Whoa. Why did you leave Oklahoma?
Why did you go back to Florida?
Because they made me go to a rehab here.
What? You know what they did? They set you up for abandonment because
I was just going to say that.
To leave the state that your children are in.
After you go so many days without seeing your kids, they're going to not charge you.
Hold on. When my kids got taken from me, my mom had me evicted from the house and sued me for $5,000. So I was living in my car, had a full-time job, dealing with my, all of my crazies in my head from them ripping my kids away from me to, live in my car at my kids' graveside.
I'm telling
But
you,
how can
they
they?
set you
How
up.
can they force her to go to rehab in a different state?
They don't
Because I
want
got
to
to choose which one I
reunify
wanted to
those
go to.
kids. They don't want to reunify. How old are they again? The one is 3.
4, 3, and 1.
Yeah,
They are all adoptable because they
I
have
told
no
her
I
that.
know
memory.
this. I know this. But that's not going to happen.
Okay,
Promise
so
you.
listen,
Not this mama.
listen. The good thing is I know all the right people that you're going to need. So listen, you need to make sure that you, first of all, fire your lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
You can do
Because
that.
if your lawyer's not doing anything, he's I gotta be really nice because we're not on my show, we're on this show. They're
Yeah,
useless.
I've done more work than he has. And I don't even
Okay.
have a degree.
So you're gonna go to the courthouse and you're gonna file or send it in, whatever you got to do, because once it gets, I tell people, if you want your paperwork in and where they can't deny you, mail it in, because once it hits their desk, they have to file it. The second thing you're going to do is, I can't tell you what's going to happen on Monday, but I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen on Monday. They're going to go ahead and
Terminate your reunification services. Yep.
But
that's
how are they
okay.
going to do that if I've completed all of them?
Honey,
It
it
doesn't
don't
matter.
matter. You are dealing with the biggest corruption scheme
That's what
in
I'm
the
trying to tell
United
you.
States.
You
I
don't
lost
know
my
what
youngest.
because I had a situation the other day and it was pretty fucking serious. But we ain't going to talk about that on here. But you want to talk
Listen.
about corruption? Oh, baby, that is corruption.
Okay.
Quit trying to use that language.
Yeah, don't cuss on their show. If I have to bring you
Yeah.
on mine and Darren's show, I'll bring you on mine.
Tiffany and Darren, which was also supposed to be here. I met Darren way back when through Mr. Davis's platform. We used to do shows with Mr. Davis. By the way, Mr. Davis was going to come on tonight, but when he asked me what county and state your case was from, and I told him maybe he thought he couldn't help you in enough time because of that. I don't know. But anyways, I met Darren from Mr. Davis's platform, and now Darren and Tiffany, they do a bunch of their own YouTube shows too that you can find through here, or we can tell you. But theirs is a little like less unfiltered, I guess you would say, where Davis, because he is an attorney.
Foul mouth.
Well, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. On this platform, because we are under Mr. Davis and he is an attorney, we would like to keep it very professional for that matter. But again, in the future, you can always come on one of their shows and be a guest and it's not as filtered. But so we can use our time wisely. And of course, you can always contact Tiffany after the show. I'll give you her information. But for everybody out there that's watching and following along with your story right now that has also watched from last night, again, Tiffany could probably continue telling you like the major steps of what you should do between now and then and going forward. Because again, like me and her both said, you're pretty much looking at the next step that they'll most likely terminate your reunification services, which then limits everything even more. It's like a stepping stone to finally getting to that TPR.
Well,
So
my therapist
again,
today told me to my face, I need to move back to Oklahoma. She said,
you do.
That's your attorney, and you need to move back to Oklahoma. I said, I can't move back. She goes, you have to. And I'm
You
like,
have to.
You
We're going
have
to get you with
until this case
abandonment.
is over.
No.
Yes.
So this is what's going to happen. They're probably going to schedule a termination hearing. So in the meantime, they have violated your rights, right? Because just on a
majority
thing,
of them, all of them.
but you have to file in Oklahoma because that's where the crime happened. Your rights were violated in Oklahoma. Now, when they set up that termination, like my other partner, besides Darren, she gets terminations overturned. So listen, I've had my rights terminated, but this was over 30 years ago and things have changed. But anyway, even if they terminate you, you have 24 months to have it overturned. She does not play in the little courts. She does not play in the federal courts. She goes straight to the state Supreme Courts and she gets them overturned and kids back home.
Nice.
But we don't want you to get your rights terminated. We want to prevent that part.
But I'm telling you,
because didn't you also?
I have a feeling that's what they're doing. You know what I mean? I'm not. You know what I mean? I know they're game by now.
Okay, listen. They've already set you up. How long you been in Florida?
Since it opened?
No. In September is when I came, and they took them in May.
6 months. You've been there 6 months. The abandonment law says 6 months in every state.
You're going to walk in there on Monday, and that's what they're going to get you for then, huh? Can they immediately then terminate their rights for abandonment if that's the case?
No, they have to set a trial.
Oh, Lordy.
And I go,
they set you up.
You better get back to wait, where is the hearing? In Oklahoma?
So I was supposed to just find it out, you know what I mean? Like bam, wham.
Okay, listen.
Wait,
they have to. The Department of Social Services has to file the motion to terminate your rights. I'm guaranteeing you. I hope I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong. That on Monday when they walk in there, they don't say the judge, well, Your Honor, we're here because she's been in Florida for 6 months, no contact with the kids, no physical contact with the kids.
I've been in contact with them physically. I've gone down birthdays and Christmas.
Okay, but listen to me. Listen to me. I've been doing this 36 years. They set you up. They moved you from Oklahoma to Florida, and they knew how long you were going to be gone. 6 months is,
and that's why they did your hearing.
Of the Juvenile Dependency Court. It doesn't matter. They can terminate your rights just on that.
Oh God!
That's why they set your review hearing for this date, is what she's saying.
Yeah,
and they're going to walk in there on Monday and say she abandoned this child. She's been in Florida for 6 months. We are now filing termination of parental rights. I hope that doesn't happen, but I can almost guarantee you that's what's going to happen on Monday. In fact, you need to give her my information because I want to know what happens on Monday.
Well, what about the person that you said that maybe could help her? Could they do anything for her between now and Monday or no?
No, her only job is once she will sit on her hands until your rights are terminated. The day your rights are terminated, she starts your Supreme Court case in Oklahoma.
But there's nothing that can be done to prevent that?
Do I have to be a resident of Oklahoma?
Yes. And you are now a resident of Florida.
Man, they set you up. I didn't know that part. I didn't know you moved back to Florida.
This is how it works. Even in regular...
I was literally at my kids' graveside. Like I buried my own son and daughter in 2011 and 15. I was only 15 years old. They were stillborn, full term. And that's where I was living, was up at the cemetery in my car. In the middle of BFE, 30 miles to a Walmart.
So this
I had my head going crazy because I didn't know where my kids were at all. No contact.
Okay. So there's a thing called the Universal Child Custody Jurisdiction Enforcement Act, UCCJEA, federal and state.
Yeah,
that's what the judges use. Okay. Then in there, you should have seen that it's 6 months. Your rights can be terminated just on that alone.
And didn't you mention that the foster parents have hired their own attorney as well for your?
My Nana has, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought the foster parents have the other two. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
it's the all other going two, down.
They've been to 18, 19 homes. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what you need to do in the meantime. Monday, I don't know. You might not have enough time because the law says you have to give a person you subpoena 10 days. You send all your certificates, your letters, whatever you got. You send it tomorrow. It still might not make it on time. Your court, tomorrow's Thursday. They're not going to make it. Well, yeah,
You can't
can
like
overnight
FedEx it, overnight it. Do you have to do it like certified or something to make sure that they get it?
Yes, because it doesn't matter who signs for it. You will have the paper
As long as
prove
you
that
have the
sent it to the court.
certification. Yeah.
Get
But what is that really going to
paperwork
do?
in.
What is
Well,
that going to
see,
help her to avoid?
Well, that could make her help avoid termination. The problem is she's now a Florida resident.
I know. Wow.
Even if this is how the law works, okay? Even let's say I moved from Winchester to Loudoun County, 45 minutes, right?
Mhm.
If I haven't lived in Loudoun County for 6 months, anything having to do with the kids has to stay in Winchester until I'm a resident of Loudoun County for 6 months.
Because, yeah, everything follows wherever the kids are and where the case started, right?
After 6 months,
Okay.
you cannot become a resident of another county or state until 6 months is up.
So technically, by them telling her to move to Florida to do this rehab was really like
It was a setup.
Not, yeah. Wow.
They couldn't find you a rehab center in Oklahoma.
I know.
My attorney that fired me because I went and filed a grievance with the board.
Good.
She literally deprived me of my jury trial. I didn't get to go and sit on the, cross-examine the only one caseworker that lied under oath the whole time. Don't even work for them anymore. Okay? Don't even work for them anymore. Only person that went and shamed my name.
It doesn't matter. Do you have her signature?
Get that motherfucker. That mother trucker. Because if it was not for that woman saying all those things about me, I would have still had my kids. Promise you.
Listen to me. Not only would I be worrying about this case, I would be finding, and I got somebody that can help you because I know a lot of people. Okay. You need to start filing in federal court for due process violations, Fourth Amendment violations, Seventh Amendment violations. You need to file. You need to file in federal court. Now, I can't guarantee they're going to bring your kids home. I can never guarantee that.
Oh, no.
But if you were my daughter, you would have already won. Because trust and believe, when they came after my daughter, they dealt with me. They will never, ever, ever deal with me. I got 3 judges that won't even hear a case with my name on it.
And see, that's just horrendous because
quick question. We only have 5 minutes left. So quick question, Tiffany. If they go ahead and do all this to her rights, doesn't that automatically terminate the father's rights to these kids as well, though, right? Because he's the one that kind of started all this. Does he even see the kids or?
He's very active. He got his ISP already, and he's already completed his ISP. And the only thing that they had him on was failure to protect. But they took that off.
They could actually just terminate hers and give them to the father.
And I will be okay with that.
But I didn't know that. Is that like that in every state? Because I thought Mr. Davis told me, because I'm in California, maybe it's different, that if, one parent loses their rights, it terminates like the whole family, like even grandparents.
It only terminates the when my rights were terminated to my daughter, my one daughter, but I was good enough to raise the other 3.
I know, that never makes sense.
It only terminated my side of the family to her. They do not normally.
Well, that would be stupid because then my Nana would lose out on my daughter, Jaslyn. You know what I mean? And that's her sole purpose.
Because she's already got an attorney. Once they terminate your rights, all Dad's got to do is sign his rights over for her to adopt.
He's not going to sign his rights over. I promise you that.
Well, then she can't adopt him or her, whatever child we're talking about.
Daughters.
Okay. Well, both your rights have to be terminated in order for the child to be adopted. So no.
And I'm sure your grandma's attorney knows all that, though. I'm sure that they'll do something.
She know what's funny? She don't know the law. And she worked in the state prosecutor, the attorney general's office for 15 years. And she don't know the law. I know more of the law than she does, for real. And let me just put it out there that she was standing as a presiding judge in Ardmore, Oklahoma, on a case where she was ruling over a sex offender. And there, she had her sexual relations with her person that she was ruling over, and ended up having 3 kids with the man. And they asked her to step down as the presiding judge. So then she went to ADA. Yes.
Oh my, this is a mess.
It is a hillbilly mess, I feel like.
Real quick, to comment from Bob Pace, it was so funny last night, Tiffany. We all love and appreciate Bob Pace and what he does, but he was trying to understand Gabriella's story yesterday. And because it was kind of all over the place, at one point he goes, "So what do we call this guy, your lover or what?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know." And then he was like, "Well, have you had past relationships before?" She's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, were they like this too?" And she goes, "No." And he goes, "Well, then I guess you just picked the bad apple finally out of the bunch." I'm thinking, oh, Bob Pace. But then Gabriella was kind of like, "Well, I mean, you're kind of right."
Yeah.
Because he just couldn't understand he's like, "Why would you get involved with a married man to begin with?"
How are you having court on Monday? Via Zoom?
Yeah, are you going to court Zoom? Oh, that's even worse.
That's set worse. You up, honey. They set you up. They just set you up. Oh my God.
Can she show up in person? That's why I kept telling her it's so imperative to get some good advice from somebody between now and Monday.
Nobody has gave me any advice because that is their goal.
Well, yeah, that's why. But see, I'm thinking
it's in on my family team meetings and stuff, and the state representative JJ Humphrey. They didn't want them in my meetings at all, supporting me, being a bystander.
But see, that's the thing, though, too. Just like you already said it, anybody that works basically for the state, your therapist, your everybody, they're all.
My therapist.
Did you hire your own therapist?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, usually they don't allow it. It has to be one that's practicing under their list of therapists for a reason. But what I'm trying to say is because, again, I've already been through, I feel like what you're about to be going through, that's the main reason why I do this show, is because if I could prevent anything from going further or from happening to mine, let's just say my youngest that wasn't even born, he was in my stomach, is the one that I lost to adoption because the parents were foster parents that couldn't have their own kids. It was their first rodeo, meaning my child was their first placement at 1 month old, beautiful, healthy baby boy. Fast forward 2.5 years, they have their own lawyer and they basically won and got my child. So that's how corrupt this system is. I'm telling you. And I feel like that's the only reason why my case basically started and went on, because they saw that I was about to give birth and they already had the eye on the prize. The only reason why my 2 older children didn't get adopted is because my mother has them, but that's even almost a worse situation if you want to go into those details. But again, they know what they're doing. My kids should have never been taken. They should have never been removed. I went and asked for help for my husband, and this is where we ended up. And it's just sick. So if I can scare you anymore, in not a bad way, but a good way, if you know what I mean, they're doing what they're doing for a reason, and this is their agenda. And again, it's just sick to think, but it's really, this is what's going down. So, I mean, it's 6 o'clock and we have to end.
I literally pack a bag and move to Oklahoma overnight because I will.
I mean, sooner than later, but it's not going to prevent anything, I think, happening from Monday, like Tiffany said. But yeah, that's where your mind needs to go. Well, the show is ending here, but Gabrielle, you have my phone number, and then I can give you Tiffany's, and then you guys can go from there. But again, anybody out there watching that wants to come on and share your story and maybe give advice to Gabrielle as well, just from what you went through, or anything that ever helps any parents in the future. That's why I do this show. And Darren, if you're awake, if you're listening, shame on you for bailing on me last minute. No, I'm just kidding. But again, we'll be here next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And if you want to be a guest on my show, you can call the number on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, the 888 number. And my producer, Grace, will get you set up. And then hopefully we can keep this going and get, the word out to any other parents out there that are unfortunately going through this horrible nightmare. But thanks, Tiffany, for joining me again. And we'll see you again here next Wednesday. And Gabriella, text me or call me after the show, and then I can get you Tiffany's info. Okay. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
thank
Have a
you,
good night.
guys.
See you next week. Bye.